I got addicted to winning, and I didn't keep leveling up trying to do harder and harder things. I didn't go to New York City and try to make it. I didn't go to San Francisco and try to start a tech company against all the Stanford graduates. I just won. I was a winner, even though relatively I wasn't anything special. I was a white kid from Southern Indiana running track. I just didn't race against the kids that were world class.
To walk me through how you go from your first building to 62, 63 locations.
Yeah, so I didn't know anybody with any cash. So the second building I bought with my own money, it was a 3-property portfolio in Erie, Pennsylvania, $24 a foot. It was listed on LoopNet, and it was gonna go to public auction through Kiko's auction in Erie, Pennsylvania. It was gonna go to auction on September.
Shout out to Kiko, whoever you are.
September 23rd, 2018, or 19 was when it was gonna go to auction. We called and convinced them to let us buy the deal all cash earlier.
What was it about the deal that you liked?
It was 24,000 square feet. We liked the Erie market. I had been looking around it for some development sites, and I just said, hey, we can buy this deal for $600,000 in a bank over here in
and it was
Farmers National Bank in Emlenburg.
It was already existing storage, or was dirt?
It was already existing built storage. It was an 85-year-old owner, but he had bad dementia, so 80% of the units were rented but abandoned, and the people weren't paying. It was a total disaster. It was doing $4,000 a month of revenue.
Jeez.
We bought it for $625,000, put $100,000 of our own money, and the rest was bank debt.
Just for the audience, let's not assume they know what that means. When you say you put 125 into
Something, yeah.
What is that? Is that paint? Is that a new roof? Is it new parking, security? Where does it?
No, that makes up the purchase price. So that's how I capitalized.
Oh, I see
the
what
deal.
you're saying. You're saying your deposit was 125.
Yeah, I had to wire that money to get the guy comfortable with us as buyers. 3 days after I talked to the auctioneer on the phone, he's like, some kid called me, 26 years old, no way he can pull this off. He said, if you can wire me $100,000 and it's hard money by Friday, I'll call off the auction and you guys can buy it at this price. The owner likes it. So we wired the money. 3 days after we found this deal, I wired $100,000, which is a shitload of money to me. Wired him the money, and they call off the auction. We bought that deal.
Basically, a hard money deposit passed through escrow, though it sounds like it didn't even go through escrow.
No escrow allowed. He said, you saw the properties. Do you want them?
No paperwork?
Yeah, we had a contract, but it was the auction contract.
I'm sorry.
It's as if we won.
Did you have any historical financials?
None. He handed me a box of old leases from the 90s, and we had to track down all those customers. But we had a massive auction. We turned the property around, and by 2020, 2 years after, or a year and a half after we bought it, it was doing $20,000 a month of revenue, up from $4 million. And we went to the bank and got it appraised for $2 million.
Refied.
Borrowed 1.2, and put more cash in our coffers to buy another deal in Pittsburgh, and then we bought another deal on our own in Gloversville, New York. We just got really scrappy to buy as many deals as we could, all while I was talking to investors. But they weren't country club investors. They were people from Perry County, Indiana, who had a couple $100,000.
That might be the segue I used to get into the social media, but hold on a second. There's a lot of risk in a lot of these decisions thus far. You talked about the risk associated with the Storage Squad business and the potential liability and how to, not being scalable, but buying a deal in a product type that you're going to develop with no development experience as a first foray into a product type at 25 years old, then wiring money, $125,000, which was probably a significant chunk of your net worth at the time, hard, within days of seeing it. Again, for anybody listening who's in the real estate profession, they're going to be able to say, okay, that's not normal. Like, deals typically don't get done. Like, Nick is shooting from the hip. And then if you're listening and you don't have commercial real estate experience, trust me when I say, like, those are risky decisions that paid off big. So my question is, do you just from early on just have had a big appetite for risk where it doesn't affect you? Or do you think it was some naivety around how much risk it was? It was almost like you didn't really know how big of a risk you were taking. That's why you did it. If you had actually known at the time how uncommon those decisions you were making were, you might have hesitated.
Yeah, I wasn't armed with too much information, period. Like, I thought, hey, Dan, like, if we turn this around, it can do $15,000 a month of revenue. We're like, this is something that we don't need to stress about. Let's just do this. Let's go. And we didn't know what we didn't know. We didn't overanalyze it. And yeah, just extreme confidence and arrogance. And I've always been a confident, cocky person. As I've gotten older, it doesn't seem like it when you follow me on social media, but I've gotten more humble and understanding of other people. But I thought that I was the best, and I just thought that I could make these decisions. And I thought, yeah, we can figure this out. Let's go. Let's do it. And the downside was not that bad. Like my wife had a job. I had a family with an extra bedroom. I had safety nets. So I was like, what's the absolute worst thing that can happen here?
What do you think allowed you to develop that confident, cocky mindset that led you to take these risks?
I'm going to tell you something that's pretty contrarian.
Sure.
I was a big fish in a small pond. I was the most athletic kid in my little bitty high school. I ran Ivy League track instead of SEC track. I took the easy classes. I started a business, the first business where not very many people started it. The competition was pretty weak. And I got addicted to winning, and I didn't keep leveling up trying to do harder and harder things. I didn't go to New York City and try to make it. I didn't go to San Francisco and try to start a tech company against all the Stanford graduates. I just won. I was a winner, even though relatively I wasn't anything special. I was a white kid from Southern Indiana running track. I just didn't race against the kids that were world class.
And so were you conscious of this, like, hey, I love winning, I'm addicted to it, so let me put myself in a position where the probabilities of winning are much higher because the competition's much lower?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
I was like, hey, I can go to New York City and I can play basketball against LeBron James. And yes, the ego and everybody's advice is like, find a room where you're the dumbest person in the room. Well, what about this small town entrepreneurship opportunity where I'm playing basketball against a fourth grade girl and I'm 6'2"? Let's go compete where I can win. That was my mindset.
I'm looking it up. Was it Charlie Munger or Warren Buffett? I think it was Charlie Munger who said competition is for suckers. Was that who said that?
I realized that business is a beautiful thing because many people can win. Tons of people can win. You don't have to be the smartest person to win.
Peter Thiel said that, sorry.
Yeah, but there's this narrative that goes around social media, like find the gym where you're the fattest, fit, out of shape person there.
Yeah.
If you're the best person in the gym, you're in the wrong gym. You hear these things all the time where, Malcolm Gladwell studied it, and he studied it in Outliers. And he figured out that the kids who were born at the right time and started dominating their peers at the right time and started getting the confidence, they had more fun, they started winning, they had more fun, they started winning,
they had the best coaching.
Then they start getting better coaching. Then they keep leveling up and moving up. I'm not saying to never level up. You got to get out of those ponds eventually and go into the, go bigger. But I just was lucky enough to never really set myself up to lose and shatter my confidence.
It definitely goes against the mainstream narrative, as you said, be the dumbest guy in the room, whatever you want to talk about, is when Peter Thiel says competition is for losers or for suckers, he's basically saying, like, a lot of people go out there is like, oh, I love competition. Like I want the best competition. And I'm paraphrasing. He basically, why would you want that? Why wouldn't you rather for your business have an industry or a field where for some reason there is no competition, or tertiary self-storage and, the 2018-19, there wasn't the competition there was in a lot of other asset classes.
If you want your kid to get into golf, would you take him and have him play the tips at a professional golf course with hazards all around and on the fastest greens?
Probably not.
He's going to hate it. Losing sucks. You play 5 rounds and you can't have any fun, you're going to quit. I started a little moving company, made a little money, went a little bigger the next year, built a self-storage facility. And then amazing things happened that 10 years later, when you got money, you got operational chops, you're used to winning, you got more confidence, you can do bigger things and you can keep leveling up.
And it increases the probability of being successful quicker, faster, bigger when you do step up.
Yeah. Big news, guys. I created a free PDF that details my method on how I analyze a self-storage facility and figure out what it's worth. Give me a pen, the back of a napkin, and a couple metrics, and I can figure out about what the property is going to be worth to me. If you want to download this PDF, click in the show notes, the first link, and you can give me your email address and you get a email right away with 4-page PDF that outlines exactly how I think about underwriting or giving my initial analysis on a self-storage facility. Again, click the link in the show notes and you're going to get that document for free. This episode of The Nick Huber Show is brought to you by RE CostSeg. If you want to maximize your bonus depreciation and minimize your tax liability, make sure to do a cost segregation study on real estate you've recently acquired. RE CostSeg offers the lowest priced, fully engineered studies in the business, and you get a virtual site visit with a quick turnaround. They did 30 plus cost seg studies for me over the past year, including a short-term rental, along with my self-storage facilities. And I'm also an investor in the business, along with my good friend and CPA, Mitchell Baldridge, who you all know. To learn more about how bonus depreciation works, listen to episode 75 of The Nick Huber Show, or visit recostseg.com to go ahead and get a free proposal that outlines the cost of the study and your potential savings. Thanks again, recostseg.com.